down button instead of pressing the up button.
But in terms of something like grieving, that would be a little different in terms of not.
It's a little different, but not much. It's still utilizing a similar mechanism because, as I said, the only reason you really grieve is that you have a definition that you've lost something, that it's truly been separated from you, and that there's no connection remaining. If you change that definition, you would experience something quite different. So it may be slightly different as an expression, but it still utilizes the same mechanism. The definitions are creating a misalignment with what is true.
And so in the future, when we have stronger connection to those that have passed over, will we be able to just talk to them in our heads as if they're standing there, or will it be something where we do it through a device?
It can be any number of mechanisms. Ultimately, it can simply be you're talking to them because you can see and hear them, because you're matching a frequency that they exist on in their particular realm.
So then the only other barrier perhaps would be the idea that you cannot physically touch the person, or you don't.
Even that is not necessarily true. As we exist in our civilization as what we are terming quasi-physical beings, means we have traits of both physical and non-physical reality. Spirits can touch us and we can touch them.
Wow.
It's a matter of realigning your frequency.
So you mean we could actually get to the point where, for example, the person who lost their daughter would actually be able to feel that they're in a one-on-one communication, talking and being able to hug?
Yes.
Or
Yes, if you look at your literature about the idea of what you call ghosts, you will find that there are many references to beings that seem so solid, people on your planet don't even know they're looking at a spirit. So it depends on the reasons for that, and we're not going to go into that at the moment. But clearly, in your literature and in your accounting of such meetings, you do have a listing of experiences where people couldn't even tell that they were speaking to a ghost.
and that would just change our whole process. Once we get to that point, grieving will be unnecessary, I
Yes,
suppose.
but of course, it's really backwards. Once you change to that point, grieving will be unnecessary.
I see. Um, According to our scientists, the Earth's core is iron nickel sphere. So does that mean that Earthlings have an iron heart? And in your opinion, what is the strangest material you've discovered at the core of a planet in our physical universe? And what did it mean for the life forms there?
The idea, of course, is that you do have iron in your blood and your blood passes through your heart. In that sense, you could say, yes, you have an iron heart, energetically speaking. The most interesting substance we have found at the core of a physical planet is neutronium. The idea of everything being packed so tightly that it becomes neutral without a positive or a negative charge. The life forms that are connected to that particular world are unlike anything that you might understand and exist on a level of quantum fluctuations.
Certainly is an interesting universe, isn't it?
Yes.
And you would know because you've seen a lot more of it than perhaps we have.
I've seen a little more than you have, but I have seen nothing but a fraction of what exists.
Wow. And is Earth just an amazingly unique planet in terms of all the animals and life that's here? I mean, how do you all view that?
Everything is unique.
Yes.
You are differently unique, yes, than any other world. There are worlds that are somewhat similar to yours. You are similar to them. But again, not identical. Unless you're looking at the idea of parallel realities in which another Earth may be so similar that you can't tell the difference. It might be only different literally by one subatomic particle. Still a different universe. So there can be those that look almost identical where you cannot tell the difference, and there are those that are so radically different you wouldn't even know that it's still considered to be Earth.
You've said on several occasions that everything is made out of love. If that's true, does that mean that even the greatest criminals and sadists are made out of love? And how can love produce such hatred, cruelty, and oppression? Please
Because
explain how
love,
it all.
true love, is unconditional, remember? That is the essential vibration of existence. You simply translate that as unconditional love in your language. But the key word is unconditional. Therefore, it's simply a matter of everything being made out of that vibration, harmonizing with that vibration, but because you are experiencing yourself as an individuated consciousness in physical reality that can be built upon filters and belief systems, you don't necessarily experience it that way because you don't necessarily know how to align with it because you haven't been taught how to do so. So even the idea of someone you would consider to be a criminal may be acting, quote unquote, out of love in their true intention, but they may have no way of understanding how to actually express that in an aligned and harmonious way because they don't have the tools. They haven't been taught how to do that. So their actions, to the best of their ability, may be being done out of a distorted sense of love or self-love. But again, it's not necessarily a holistic expression, a unifying and harmonizing expression of the idea of the basic, fundamental, unconditional vibration of existence itself. Because you have the freedom to choose, because things are unconditional, how to express the idea of the love of which you're made, of the vibrational existence of which you are made.
And the idea of bringing heaven to earth. Can you share some more with us about how that relates to the heart and
Well, again,
the experience we're having here?
yes, when you clear out the negative vibrations, the definitions in your belief systems that are not relevant for you as a being in your true sense, then the vibration, message, communication from the higher mind will go to the heart as it does and be reflected to a physical mind that is now clear and transparent and free of any distortions in its belief system. And by doing that, you radiate then to all parts of your body and outward through your electromagnetic aura that vibration of purity and alignment and clarity that comes more directly from the higher mind to the heart to now a physical mind that is a transmitter in a pure sense. Thus then that can, by example, allow others to sense that vibration and if they so choose, start to match that vibration because now they're being given an opportunity to do so. And that can help alleviate the idea of any distortions by at least providing the option of a clear vibration to others in much the same way that the unconditional love of our civilization is offered to you, but you still have to be the ones to agree to harmonize and match that frequency. Thus, our vibration and our sharing is unconditional. It's up to you to match it. And we would not necessarily have been giving information to you for the last 38 of your years had not some of you at least decided to match it and be living examples of that frequency. That doesn't mean that you have to exactly be like us or do exactly as we do. It simply means that you were willing to let go of all those things that aren't truly you, that are your challenges, your themes of exploration in this particular life to get to know yourself from a new point of view, and have let go of the need now to do that because you are now more willing to be your true self just on its own merit. And thus then you have elevated the frequency of your entire world and given many people more of an opportunity, as you align with any source of unconditional love, to allow themselves to align with those sources as well, whatever they may be, whatever works for them, and increase the likelihood and the probability of more people choosing to navigate themselves through different parallel versions of Earth over and over to ones that are more and more reflective, like a mirror, of the vibrational choices you have made to be in harmony and in alignment with the unconditional love of all that is.
Thank you. If you don't eat chocolate or drink wine, how exactly do you celebrate Valentine's Day on Essassani? And do the hybrids go through adolescent crushes like people on Earth do?
We don't celebrate Valentine's Day on Essassani. That's a holiday on your planet. Our children do not go through teenage crushes. These are not relevant questions for my civilization. We are always in love. We are always harmonious. We are always balanced at this point in our evolution. And we do not have the idea of holidays in the same way you do.
Okay. And in your travels, what is the most number of hearts that you've ever encountered in a single being?
5.
And how does that play out in terms of the expression of the being, or what does that mean? I guess it's different for each civilization, but
Yes.
I don't know if there's anything you can share with us about the nature of a civilization where people have 5 hearts.
Yes. Although the most common we have ever encountered is 3 hearts. This again is representative of the idea of the triad, the trinary function of all that is, the trinity, so to speak, where the vibrations of the hearts bounce off and reinforce each other in a very particular geometric format. It's very stabilizing in that sense for these particular civilizations that we have encountered, where the beings have what you would consider to be 3 hearts. It doesn't mean that they're hearts in the same way that your heart is structured, but they function similarly. The 5 heart beings perform a very specific kind of function with regard to the heart connections being connected to different aspects of nature or spirit. In other words, each heart serves a function of making a connection to a different aspect of their reality. They can actually switch their focus and their concentration from heart to heart to amplify and magnify their connection to different parts of nature and their particular experience of reality. It's quite unique in our experience. Where you can have spirits that have unfinished business, may not even know that they're dead, may be harboring and holding on to old belief systems that don't let them to pass on to higher realms of spirit. So you can have that experience in the lower astral realm of non-physical reality, which is 5th density.
Okay. And how do non-physical and quasi-physical beings experience laughter? Do you all laugh? And
Yes, we do. The idea, again, is that it may be experienced as an overwhelming or larger infused sensation that is more expansive than just being contained within the physical parameters of a body. It's like suddenly being filled with light, would perhaps be the closest analogy we can make.
I think you mentioned if you actually started laughing when you're when Darryl's in the channeling state, that it would wake him up or make him come out of the state.
It would cause a disconnection because the laughter would be centering for us. So as we blend more, as the channel matches our frequency more, there can be some slight opportunities for you to experience us having a laugh. But in general, were we to go fully into that state, there might be a disconnection if the channel's vibration is not equal to the level in which we experience that state.
I see.
So we do, in some sense, allow there to be a slight suppression of that when we are doing this and having this connection, because we often laugh, and therefore you would be constantly having an interruption.
I guess you have to learn how to control that, when you're
Well,
channeling.
it's automatic. Because again, it comes with our intention of delivering information in a certain way, and therefore it's automatically dampened to the degree necessary for us to continue the conversation.
And one person asked, why has Darryl's style of channeling Bashar's energy changed over time? It seems like there is less of an accent, less teeth clicking, less affect. Is this because Is this because something has changed about Earth's vibration over time and it's gotten easier to transmit to us here? And why did it originally come through the way that it did?
Yes, it's a matter of practice. It's a matter of getting used to a frequency. It's a matter of becoming his version of us, raising his vibration to become more like us, and therefore there's less difference between us and him. Therefore, you would experience less difference. In the beginning, of course, he wasn't used to our energy at all. And therefore, it took some time for him to allow his vibration to rise to the point where you start to lose the differences between us. And we can rely more on the way he exists in his reality to deliver the information in a way that is not filtered, because he is more willing to be open and letting the information come through. And this is part and parcel of the practice of him becoming a teacher himself on his planet, because he is now familiar enough with our principles to be able to do so, knowing that he is delivering relatively accurate information. Because the idea of all channeling is not necessarily for the differences to continue, but for the similarities to become more apparent in your reality, to know that you are just as connected to everything just like we are, and can exhibit that for yourselves. Therefore, you will experience less of a difference. There will be a few things that may remain, so that you understand that there will be a perceived difference on a minor level. But nevertheless, the idea is for fluidity and flow to take over, so that the information can come through, whether from us or from him, to the same degree.
Wonderful. Um,
And the idea of the teeth clicking and other things like that is simply that from time to time, there may be something that we are doing for which there is no translation, and so his body must react to something, and therefore it will be in a non-verbal, non-linguistic fashion that lets you know that something is going on our side that you may not be aware of, that you may not be seeing fully, but the clicking and other affectations may let you know that something is going on that's not being translated fully.
and that's true sometimes when he moves his hands, he's
Yes.
actually mimicking something you're doing on the ship, right?
Yes. If I were now to simply place my hand on a panel, he could ignore it or he could allow himself to go with it, such as this. It just depends on how connected he may be at any given moment in a certain way, whether it's relevant for that expression to be shown, because there are many things we are transmitting to many of you that don't come through verbally. It's also part of the communication that comes through to your unconscious and subconscious self, and representative of a different form and different level of information being downloaded into you to the degree that you are willing to open up to it. So sometimes paying attention to the things that are happening non-verbally can actually be another level of the communication.
Yes, that's true. That's why you said it.
Thank you.
um, this person's saying they've been longing for contact and they look up at the sky day and night and they wonder if their star family can sense that they want contact. Why isn't it happening? And what do I have to do to connect in with that reality sooner than the rest of humanity?
Stop longing for it and follow the formula. Be where you are. Where you are on earth is the most important place for you to be. Yes, of course, they're aware of it, but they're also aware of the timing that is necessary that benefits everyone. You can't necessarily run ahead of everyone. That doesn't really serve the purpose you agreed to in having this physical reality. So we understand that the longing is the product of more awareness of the fact that you have connections to many other beings among the stars, but you can't use it as a negative, as if, again, you're missing something. You have to allow yourself to make the connection, be aware of the connection, feel the energy, but bring that energy down to earth and apply it in your life in the most positive, exciting, passionate way. That's what accelerates the probability of having the physical connection sooner than later. But again, drop the insistence and there will be no resistance. Just go with the flow, follow your passion, follow the formula, and allow yourself to experience this as a connection of energy, not a longing, which implies the idea that you're missing something, that something else would be better than where you are now, which it isn't. Where you are now is the most important thing that could be happening.
And haven't you said also that when you're following your passion, when you raise your frequency through letting go of negative beliefs and things like that, ET contact, extra dimensional contact, all those things are a side effect in a sense.
Yeah,
As your frequency goes up, it's automatic in that
it
regard,
is.
right?
It is. But again, watch your belief systems and your definitions. Because sometimes when people hear that, they get excited about doing that only for the purpose of accelerating it, which again brings them back to the idea that they're not living in the moment,
Tricky.
if you say so.
As we move into the window of open contact, will there be a significant increase in new channelers and beings working through them?
Yes.
It's almost like a resurgence of more channeling.
Yes, but in different ways. Again, there are many forms of channeling. So, but the general answer is yes.
Okay. And is there an alien civilization whose political system is a dictatorship?
Yes, of course. Those things exist, and we have discussed some that existed in what you call the past in the ancient Orion systems, which were extremely oppressive and dictatorial. And there are some that still exist out among the stars. It's not like they can basically reach you or affect you in any given way. But yes, they do exist here and there.